The biggest game announcements right now are setting the tone for what's coming next. From major reveals to unexpected surprises, these titles are already shaping the future of gaming. Let's get into it.
2060, Earth is dying, but we might have a solution. We've discovered a 9th planet in our solar system.
Aphelion is a third-person action-adventure set on the frozen planet Persephone, where astronaut Ariane crosses dangerous terrain using tools like a grappling hook, pathfinder, an oxygen system while handling climbs, jumps, and movement across unstable areas, while Thomas, injured after a crash, survives through observation and problem-solving, with gameplay shifting between both as they gather clues, avoid a hostile life form through stealth, and deal with changing environments shaped by extreme weather.
Network. Most importantly, our instruments have detected a mysterious heat source. A source that could allow liquid water to exist. Ice, snowfall, flowing rivers. This planet could have a complete water cycle. We're ready. We've trained for the harshest environments. Conditions are not optimal yet. But all the raw ingredients for habitability are here. This world has everything to become humanity's new home.
Impossible.
So we gave it a name. Not for what it is, but for what it will be.
We know the cause.
Persephone,
Tell him the truth.
the Greek goddess of fertility. It can't be a bad omen, right?
As I could remember, I worked for other people. They called it opportunity. I called it debt.
Samson is an action-adventure set in Tyndalston, where close combat relies on timing, movement, and use of surroundings, alongside driving sequences where vehicles are used for ramming, chases, and escapes, with missions managed through an action point system that limits choices and locks outcomes, while rising debt, daily quotas, and law response systems increase pressure, and character upgrades improve both fighting skills and vehicle-based combat across changing city districts.
Pain built up. Adrenaline took over. I didn't fight to win. I fought to finish. Cars had weight. Every hit mattered. The more work I did, the louder the city got. Miss a payment, and they reminded you. They weren't negotiators. They were punctuation. When the day ran out, so did your luck. Sleep didn't fix a thing. It just reset the clock. It was all connected. Time, debt, violence, and speed. People talk about freedom like it's a feeling. They have no idea.
It was the strangest thing. I feel like I'm dreaming.
Silver Pines is a survival horror Metroidvania set in a small American town where a private investigator searches for a missing musician while dealing with hostile creatures, limited inventory, and puzzle-based progression, with gameplay built around fighting or avoiding enemies, collecting items, unlocking paths with new tools and weapons, and navigating interconnected areas filled with hidden routes, locked doors, and bosses that require careful resource use and planning to survive.
It's a simple job for men with nerve.
Cordura is a 4-player online co-op psychological horror where teams enter procedural Victorian labyrinths to collect resources and extract safely, with one player guiding while others move through changing layouts, using proximity voice chat that can be mimicked by an unseen threat as a sanity system affects perception and requires regrouping, alongside permadeath, dynamic difficulty scaling, and shifting environments that force constant coordination, navigation, and risk management to survive each run.
And keep it quiet. We don't know what happens in there, but that place, it twists men. of all, remember, those places must remain closed. You see, it's a simple job.
What are we willing to do to save our children?
Remothered Red Nun's Legacy is a survival horror game where a mother searches for her missing daughter inside a decaying residence, using stealth to avoid relentless stalkers while solving puzzles and collecting clues to progress, with mechanics that include limited combat, hiding, and timing movement, alongside hypnosis abilities that reveal hidden paths, memories, and environmental changes as players manage danger, uncover secrets, and navigate areas filled with supernatural threats and shifting perception.
A child is dreaming in REM phase. With open wings, a moth is ablaze.
Blight Survival is a PvE action horror game set in a medieval war zone where players fight both human enemies and infected creatures, using directional melee combat with different weapons, armor, and skill upgrades, playable solo or in co-op with up to 4 players, with systems that involve looting, extraction-style decisions on whether to leave or push forward, and missions focused on reaching and destroying the source of a spreading infection.
Creative Director for Blight Survival. First off, on behalf of myself, Mats, Ash, and the team, thank you. Hitting 1.5 million wishlists is a massive milestone. We're incredibly grateful for your support. We're taking the time to make sure that it pays off when the moment comes to put Blight in your hands. When we teamed up with Behavior, we spent a lot of time digging into the original vision for Blight. It quickly became clear that if we wanted to truly do justice, we needed to take a step back and rebuild our core systems from the ground up.
We're designing Blight to be a brutal, visceral game. Combat is meant to be felt, from the first clash to the final deadly blow. These finishes are just one part of our immersive combat system that we can't wait to show you in the future. We've started ramping up on small-scale playtests, so for anyone who's interested in shaping the future of Blight, join us on Discord. Thank you from everyone here at the team at Blight, and we can't wait to see you soon.
Ritual Tides is a first-person narrative survival horror set on a remote British island, where players control an amnesiac survivor navigating coastal areas, abandoned villages, and submerged ruins while avoiding a cult and hostile creatures, with gameplay built around stealth, puzzle solving, and inventory management, alongside a gaze system that affects tension as players uncover clues, manage limited resources, and progress through environments designed with detailed, realistic visuals. Tides of Annihilation is a fantasy action-adventure set in a ruined London where players control Gwendolyn and fight large groups of enemies using hack-and-slash combat alongside spectral knights, with a system that lets players command multiple knights with different abilities and combine their attacks while progressing through distorted environments, battling massive enemies that can be climbed and fought in stages, and uncovering events linked to an invasion from another realm. 007 First Light is an action-adventure centered on a young James Bond during MI6 training, where missions involve stealth infiltration, hand-to-hand combat, gunplay, and gadget use, allowing players to choose between silent approaches or direct confrontation, while objectives include tracking targets, navigating guarded locations, and completing assignments with different strategies, alongside replayable missions with modifiers that change conditions and encourage varied methods of completing each objective.
The system judged me.
Defect is a cyberpunk first-person shooter set in a city controlled by an AI, where players take roles across different factions and complete objectives such as arrests, assassinations, and smuggling using tactical weapons and advanced gear, with modes that include single-player, co-op, and large-scale PvP matches featuring multiple competing squads, dynamic objectives that change during play, and loadout preparation systems that affect performance in each deployment.
The Void. I have seen its truth.
Void Hunters is a turn-based RPG set in a dark fantasy setting where players build a squad of characters, upgrade skills and gear, and take part in tactical battles that rely on ability, timing, and positioning. With modes that include story missions, roguelite challenges with changing rewards and conditions, and PvP rankings, as players manage team composition, complete objectives, and face enemies that require planning and efficient use of each character's abilities.
They call them
The Vernyhorn is a third-person open-world RPG where players control a man dealing with his past while making choices that affect outcomes, with gameplay built around dialogue decisions, survival systems like managing food, clothing, and conditions, and a combat system that includes sword fighting, unarmed attacks, and timed surprise strikes during conversations, alongside a world with changing weather, daily NPC routines, and minimal interface that relies on observation and memory to progress. Star Wars Galactic Racer is a racing game set in an underground league where players pilot different vehicles like land speeders, speeder bikes, and pod racers, using aggressive driving such as ramming and takedowns across varied tracks, with systems for customizing vehicles to affect handling and performance, alongside modes that include solo progression and competitive PvP, where players build reputation, face rival racers, and complete races that reward risk-taking and strategic driving choices. Gray Zone Warfare is a PvE-focused tactical first-person shooter set on a quarantined island, where players take on missions solo or in squads, using realistic gun handling, gear management, and navigation to complete objectives, with systems that include faction, reputation, extraction-based gameplay, and open-ended tasks alongside dynamic conditions like weather, time of day, and AI behavior that affect combat, movement, and decision-making during each deployment. The Witcher 4 is an action RPG where players control Ciri, a monster hunter traveling across an open world, moving on foot or using her horse while taking on contracts, exploring regions like Kovir, and engaging in combat and character builds, with systems that expand player choice through branching decisions, varied encounters, and interconnected quests, alongside progression mechanics that shape abilities and outcomes across both main story paths and side activities.
Even art of gold. You've the spirit to overcome adversities aplenty. Darling. Sweeten. Today's the day ye fill out your destiny.
Forgive me, daughter. 'Twere my only choice.
I shall be the bringer of salvation.
A witcher? Witcher! Whose coin did ye take? Nay, you can't. 'Tis tradition. Chosen she is, by the gods!
No! You chose her. Back to the village. Go, now.
Nay! I must save them! Save the village!
Save yourself! Run! To shelter! To your father! Run!
Oh no, no, no. It's all we wanted. For her to go to the woods, to go to the gods.
Gods? There are no gods here. There are only monsters.
Gouda! Die where?
Stupid Never Dies is an action RPG where players control a zombie named Davy, fighting through monster-filled dungeons, using fast combat to defeat enemies, collect items, and grow stronger, with mechanics that allow stealing abilities by consuming enemies, switching between multiple combat styles, and customizing body parts with different gear, alongside a power system that boosts stats during combat. As players face varied enemies and bosses with different behaviors and attack patterns,
get hers back. Oh wait, I'm already dead.
The only way to revive her is to dive into the dungeon, eat KOM, and seize the over technology. You should start heading back. There's a special kind of miasma that drifts within the dungeon. Therefore, there is a time limit to your activities. You return to the dungeon. It should reduce the time required to rejuvenate. The speed of your growth will increase with each trip to the dungeon. One thing is for certain. Once the power in the cold storage goes off, your girl is a goner.
And you're telling me this now?
CALX is an action-adventure set on the planet Syro, where players control a character using movement abilities like double jump, dash, levitation, and grappling to reach new areas, solve puzzles, and navigate interconnected environments, with combat that combines melee attacks, range support, and time dodges, alongside upgrades that improve mobility and fighting options, as players uncover hidden paths and interact with ruins that reveal past events through environmental details. Herdles is an open-world platformer where players control a magical dog moving through colorful regions using physics-based abilities to jump, glide, and interact with the environment to solve puzzles and reach new areas, with progression tied to rescuing creatures that grant new powers, while gameplay focuses on platforming challenges, experimentation, and navigation across overworld areas and dungeon-like spaces without combat or failure penalties.
You there, kid? It's your Uncle Lou calling. Listen, I've got to head off for a while.
Lou's Lagoon is an adventure simulation where players fly a seaplane between tropical islands, collecting resources using a multi-tool to gather materials from the environment and wildlife, then crafting items and rebuilding damaged communities, with systems for upgrading equipment, customizing the plane and character, and building a personal base, alongside tasks that involve helping island residents, completing activities, and uncovering clues related to a missing uncle.
Paradise, bit of trouble, and a whole lot of mystery. Ha! Just the way we like it, eh? Fix up my old seaplane. She's a little rough around the edges, sure. She's got spirit. Bit like you, really. The islanders are jolly good folk. This storm rolling in, it's going to hit them hard. They'll need help, and I reckon you'll make a difference. Still, best to keep your wits about you. Not everyone has the best of intentions. I can't say when I'll be back, but I know you'll do me proud. Fly through, stay sharp, and don't forget to enjoy that view. Oh.
This little guy is Boris.
Adorable Adventures is a third-person adventure where players control a baby boar navigating natural environments, using a scent tracking system to follow trails, identify objects, and solve puzzles tied to different characters, with gameplay built around movement, simple activities, and collecting scents to expand a tracking library, alongside optional tasks like races and challenges, as players search for family members and progress through areas based on learned scent recognition.
Knows that his brothers and sisters are out there, and while finding them won't be easy, he's determined to bring them back together so they can be a family. once more.
Little Nightmares VR Altered Echoes is a first-person VR adventure puzzle game where players control Dark Six, navigating distorted environments while solving puzzles and avoiding large enemies, with gameplay built around interacting with objects, uncovering hidden paths, and progressing through confined spaces, alongside mechanics that rely on movement, timing, and awareness in close-range encounters as players gather clues tied to identity and piece together events through environmental details.
This is what I'm most afraid of.
Project Songbird is a first-person narrative horror game where players control a musician recording an album in a remote cabin, with gameplay built around moving through forest areas and dreamlike spaces, interacting with the environment, and managing encounters using ranged and melee weapons, alongside progression through story-driven sequences, audio elements tied to the character's work, and exploration of locations that reveal events through visual and environmental details.
A new, classic Neon Songbird album. You can show everyone that you've still got it. What do you say?
ReVamp is a strategy roguelite where players control Dracula, building and modifying a castle room by room to create defensive layouts that slow and damage incoming enemies while commanding units like skeletons and creatures to hold positions, with waves of attackers testing different setups alongside direct control of Dracula during battles to use abilities, and progression systems that unlock new rooms, upgrades, and stronger units across repeated runs.
You'll never defeat my army, nor conquer my castle. We're cursed to fight, night after night, for all eternity. For my master, for her.
Filled it with his toys. 6 guests came one night.
We shouldn't go walking alone. The 7th Guest Remake is a mystery adventure where players move through a haunted mansion, solving puzzles that unlock new rooms and reveal story elements, with gameplay built around investigating environments, interacting with objects, and piecing together clues tied to the house and its inhabitants, alongside live-action characters integrated into scenes and shifting environments that change layouts and create new challenges as players progress deeper into the mansion.
Not one was ever seen, but Old Man Stauff is waiting there. Crazy, sick, and mean.
Today, the city is filled with crime, cults, biker gangs, and a glitch.
Yerba Buena is an action-adventure puzzle platformer where players control Barb, using a device called the Oscillator to copy and apply physical traits between objects, allowing surfaces to gain new properties like bounce or movement to solve environmental puzzles, with gameplay built around traversal, timing, and creative problem-solving, alongside levels set in a stylized city where players navigate obstacles, track targets, and progress by manipulating the environment.
He watched the developers who created this world and the tool they used to fix its mistakes, the oscillator.
Wanda and Jorge are not going to believe this. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Jorge, where are you?
Trying to learn their weaknesses.
I can bring Russell back myself with this thing.
Come on, boys, let's go kill that bastard!
This city gets weirder and weirder by the moment.
Somebody's been trying to slip a power-up to the biker. Tell us who and where it is.
Time.
Crimson Desert is an open-world action-adventure where players control Cliff, using melee and ranged combat with weapons, skills, and movement like dodging and grappling, while exploring varied regions, completing quests, and managing a camp through activities like crafting and gathering, alongside multiple playable characters with different abilities, mounts for travel, and combat encounters ranging from duels to large-scale battles against enemies and bosses. Echo Generation 2 is a turn-based RPG where players build decks of cards, recruit allies, and engage in battles using abilities, combos, and strategy. With systems focused on collecting cards, customizing decks for different characters, and summoning companions during combat, alongside progression through quests and encounters against various enemies while managing resources and adapting tactics in each fight. Motorslice is an action-adventure where players control a character using parkour movement like running, climbing, sliding, and wall running to navigate a large megastructure, with combat focused on fast encounters using a chainsaw against hostile machines, including climbing and destroying large boss units, alongside traversal through hazardous environments, physics-based interactions, and sections that require timing, precision, and awareness to avoid traps in progress.
Found you half dead on the side of the road. I took you in.
Nekome Nazi Hunter is a third-person action game where players control Vano Nastasu, using stealth to track enemy routes, set traps, and plan attacks before engaging in close combat with melee weapons, firearms, and environmental tools. With systems that include enemy awareness, fear, and notoriety that change how enemies react, alongside mechanics for parrying, targeted strikes, and finishing moves that shape each encounter based on player decisions.
There's a word for revenge. We call it Nekome. I've seen what that rage can do to a man. It eats you alive. But I understand. The Nazis have taken everything from us. So go on, my boy. Kill them all.
Cthulhu. The Cosmic Abysses is a first-person adventure where players take on the role of an investigator exploring a deep-sea mining site and an ancient underwater city, gathering clues, solving puzzles, and making decisions that affect the outcome. With a sanity system that alters perception and events, alongside guidance from an AI companion, as players navigate shifting environments, uncover hidden paths, and piece together a mystery linked to a powerful cosmic entity.
Evidence of a truth so unfathomable, it will rewrite the history of humankind. The Cyclopean ruins we've discovered during our initial exploration are proof that civilizations rose and fell on Earth in its antediluvian past. Our first manned expedition will leave for the city in 2 days' time. We'll set up a base camp from which to conduct our exploration. If the maze is any indication, what we're about to see will change our very understanding of the universe.
Stay back! Stay back! Ah!
See you in 2 days' time.
We're behind schedule. Alright, we need to reach people and kindly talk about our campaign.
Anomaly President is an action roguelike where players manage a dual system of running a political campaign by day and fighting enemies by night. With gameplay built around gathering support, recruiting team members, and upgrading a mobile base, alongside combat that uses weapons and acquired powers from defeated bosses, allowing different builds like melee or ability-focused styles as players progress through runs with changing encounters, upgrades, and strategic decisions.
Oh no! Hurry up, Mr. President!
Outbound is a simulation adventure where players build and manage a mobile home on a vehicle, collecting resources to craft workstations, grow crops, and create living spaces using modular systems with energy management based on solar, wind, and water sources, alongside exploration across different areas, customization of the vehicle and interior, and optional co-op play where multiple players work together to expand, maintain, and operate the moving base.
When all this began, no one imagined how it would end.
The Ninth Dragon is a side-scrolling action game set in Kowloon Walled City, where players control a police recruit using hand-to-hand combat, firearms, and environmental objects in tight spaces, with mechanics that focus on positioning, stamina control, and improvised tactics, alongside branching choices that affect outcomes as players complete missions, collect upgrades, interact with characters, and face different enemies and bosses across interconnected urban areas.
A lie can protect something worth believing in.
Resident Evil Requiem is a survival horror game where players control two characters with different playstyles, using firearms, limited resources, and puzzle solving to progress through infected locations, with mechanics that include switching between first and third-person views, managing inventory, and investigating clues, alongside combat against hostile creatures, environmental navigation, and scenarios that require careful planning, movement, and resource use to survive each encounter.
Pig in rusted mail, too dumb to stand, too drunk to fail if hell showed up.
Gate Guard Simulator is a simulation game where players act as a castle guard, checking documents, inspecting goods, and deciding who can enter, using tools to detect forgeries, hidden items, or illness, with gameplay built around evaluating information, following changing rules, and making choices that affect outcomes, alongside systems for earning wages, upgrading equipment, and handling situations involving smugglers, criminals, and suspicious travelers at the gate.
The priest attempt to pass with pox upon his underparts. He preaches that we're bound for hell, but spends his evenings bashing the bishop with Bloody Nell. Help! The gate protects our faith. The gate will keep us safe.
The Legend of California is a first-person survival shooter set during the Gold Rush, where players explore a large frontier, gather resources, craft tools and weapons, and build structures like ranches and mines, with gameplay that includes hunting, fighting enemies, and managing food and supplies. Alongside systems for PvE encounters and optional PvP as players progress by expanding their base, upgrading equipment, and working solo or with others on shared servers.